This is JMM Garza. I hope you're having a fantastic day. This is my second take. Actually, it's my third take. Might be my fourth take. Last evening around 9 p.m. Wednesday, I did my live stream and I had a lot of technical issues. I'm still in the process of learning how to do an appropriate and effective and without any issues live stream. Okay. You know, I'm a 68-year-old dog trying to learn some new tricks. I'm trying my best, okay? So one of the issues that I had was that I forgot in one of the scenes that I have, you know, each scene, this is the main scene, there was going to be a scene of vintage cameras, film cameras, and I forgot to put a microphone in that section. So when I was yammering incessantly about these cameras and waxing poetic about the past, how wonderful it was with film cameras, I didn't have any sound, so that's not good. So, and also some of my video was staccato, so I changed my frame rate from 60 on the software to 30, and also the camera in 30. Okay, so hopefully this is better. I actually looked at the last version that I just produced about 15 minutes ago, today Thursday, and it was staccato. Everything was like, you know, moving like this. And that's not good either. So a lot of issues I'm trying to get over and have a successful live stream, because, you know, I am sequestered here in Fort Worth, Texas, like many in Texas and around the world. And I'm a little bit paranoid. And so I'm not going out in the public as much as I used to. Go to take pictures, you know, infrastructure, going to events and stuff like that. So I've been photographing around the house, around the neighborhood, not doing much traveling, etc. So, and I'm doing these live streams now as an outlet for my creative desires and motivations, and you're suffering for it. So Saturday, this past Saturday, I took my wife to the hospital because she has a problem with one of her eyes. And then Monday they operated on her, and then Tuesday, you know, I brought her home, and so she's in the other room. One of her eyes looks like, you know, big old puffy eyeball, and she has to sleep with her face down. It's called what is it called? Macular hole. She has a macular hole, so she'll get better. She'll get back to normal, back to her fighting self. Right now, I'm taking care of her, and you know, I'm doing everything from changing her to helping her change once in a while, to feeding her, cooking meals, washing all the dishes, make sure the house is clean, there's no obstructions while she's walking, because she only looks down when she's walking. And I told her, hey, I'm your limo driver. I've been driving you to Dallas, to UT Southwestern for all these doctor visits, and now I'm waiting on you hand and foot. You know, she goes, hey, pick that up for me over there. No, that's not what I want. I wanted that. Oh, you got that wrong. Get two of them. Okay, I go back and forth, and I run around like an idiot. So I said, I feel like a chauffeur and a butler. She goes, if you were a butler, like, you know, like she has her favorite show, Downton Abbey, I'd wear gloves. So so apparently I have to order some gloves now. So I changed my setup for this stream. I lowered it from 60 frames a second to 30. I'm still shooting at 1600 ASA. I have two very modest lights right here, some vintage lights, and I have a desk lamp up there. I have my microphone, of course. But what I've changed on my camera, got a little something in my mouth. There it is. Shockingly, it's a hair. I don't know where the hair came from. Shockingly. So my camera, I took off my my standard, you know, kit lens, my zoom lens, my autofocus lens, and I put a manual lens with a manual adapter. So I put a manual adapter, micro four thirds to Nikon, and then I put a Nikon zoom lens. And I have it on medium telephoto so I can shoot this video. The reason for that was that every time I turned off the camera and turned it back on, and for a couple of my live streams for different channels, it would be out of focus. I know I'm pretty hideous, but you know, and you probably want me out of focus, but I like to have me a little bit crisper focus so I could share my videos. So being manual, it does not shift focus, it does not shift aperture, it does not shift anything, just it's on there. So when I click it on, it stays where it's supposed to stay. So that's working out. So I feel I'm a little bit sharper, I'm a little better, and hopefully not as staccato, you know, frames getting stuck here and there. We'll see when I play it back. I might have to do this the 5th time. Who knows? So I'm in my 4th bedroom, my studio space, and I hope you're doing well during the COVID-19 pandemic. In the state of Texas, COVID's having a great time. It's infecting a lot of people. A lot of our hospitals are full, especially in Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, all over the state. People are getting infected because, you know why? Because, you know, people are stupid. You got to be smart. You can't go out without a mask, eye protection. You got to cover your eyes, nose, and mouth, okay? When you're out in public, period. That's the only way you're going to protect yourself and protect others from the COVID-19 to a certain extent. It's not 100%, but at least it's 90%. 90% is better than 100%. No, I mean, nothing, okay? So one of the ways that COVID is spreading quite a bit in the state of Texas because young people are out there. There's, you know, meeting and greeting. You know, when I was 18, 16, 20, 25, 30, I was out there meeting and greeting. I was going to parties. I was having cocktails. I was dancing, having a great time, going to the beach, stuff like that. But after having all this wonderful time out in the public, they come home to their ailing grandmother, their ailing nephew, their disabled and highly susceptible to disease, family and friends, and they're getting sick. They may be not getting as sick. Some are still getting quite sick and maybe passing away. But, you know, those with the compromised immune systems or older folks are getting very, very sick. So what I would suggest for all you folks out there, all you young folks, don't be so selfish, you know, and crazy, okay? Think about your family. Think about your friends. Stay sequestered. Wear a mask. Wear some sunglasses. Don't be so close. When you're next to somebody, you don't have to be, hey, what's happening, man? You can keep a distance, and you can have a conversation. You ever heard of a conversation? You can have a conversation. You don't have to be jumping all over each other and sweating all over each other and spitting on and coughing on each other, okay? Because it affects your friends and your family. That's my editorial for the day. So I changed my lens. I gave my little editorial about Texas pandemic going nuts right now. I think it's June 24th today. It's going absolutely nuts. Let me check the date. Let me see what date it is on my computer. It's the 25th. Yesterday was the 24th when I did my live stream on Wednesday. Today it's the 25th, okay? So be careful out there. Watch out for the pandemic. So let me try this vintage film show here. I'm going to talk about my vintage cameras. Let's get started. So the first camera we have up is the Nikon F3. This was a standard, pretty much a standard back in the day. That's a very nice camera. The F series of cameras came out in the 60s. What it provided was a very well built, rock solid, built like a tank camera that professional photographers can use. You can change the lenses. You can change the backs. You could have these very large film backs where you can just shoot forever, or just the usual 24, 36, shot rolls of 35 millimeter film. Okay. And of course, you can change the viewfinders. You can have a waist level finder, you can have just a standard finder, or you can have the photomic meter. That's what they called it back then, the photomic meter, which included a metering system. Before the meters, were external devices or something connected to the side, an apparatus. So you got a professional camera with incredible high quality lenses, and they just ripped off a lot of German ideas and concepts and advanced them to the next, to the next level. So a very nice camera that I used back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. I really loved. I had a Nikon F2. I bought it in the 70s, and I had it until it was ripped off in the 80s, okay? Next camera up is my Hasselblad. I bought a Hasselblad. First camera I bought for college was a Hasselblad. It was a 500C, had a 80 millimeter f2.8 planar lens, a very nice lens indeed. And I really like that camera. And what makes this a professional camera? Modularity. It had the lens you can change, and you can change the backs. That back section, you see where that little crank is in the back? That's an A12 back. They have A16 backs. They have different backs. Some that shoot a square format, 6 by 6 centimeters, some that are not so square, 6, 4, 5, okay? And, and on the top was a, reflex viewfinder. So I had that on my Hasselblad. On my later Hasselblad, I had a Hasselblad 500 ELM, and that was a very nice camera. I used that in my studio during the 80s and 90s, and I still have it. It's in the closet, just collecting dust. I don't really use it anymore. But a very nice camera indeed. What did I use this camera for? I used it for everything. I did weddings with it. I did, shot portraits of people that I saw on the street, in buildings and infrastructure. A lot of my photographs that I exhibit, in Europe and Mexico and the United States from coast to coast are shot with my Hasselblad. Because why? It's an incredibly fine, high-quality piece of kit, as they would say in England. Superb Zeiss lenses. The body is made in Sweden, in Gothenburg, Sweden. I used to get catalogs from that beautiful city all the time. I want to go visit Sweden. Anybody in Sweden want to invite me over to their house for a couple weeks? I'd love to go. So, a very nice camera and pretty much state-of-the-art at that time. Again, a professional camera. It's built, it looks like a tank, and it's built like a tank, okay? So I used to shoot weddings. I used to have at that time, my one Hasselblad I sold off, and I got another Hasselblad with a 150 lens as part in the reflex viewfinder and the A12 back. And it was an ELM, so I didn't have the crank for advance the film. So when I went to shoot weddings, I would just rent a 50mm lens and put it in the front and take pictures with it. So most of the wedding I shot with a 50mm, I would just rent that for the day and return it the next Monday. And all these cameras have something unusual. Most cameras have a focal plane shutter. The shutter is right by the film plane, and it'd be a strip just pass by, go, and that'd be the exposure. But this one has a between the lens shutter. It's actually built in the lens, a between the lens shutter, and this camera can go up to 500th of a second. So it was very nice for outdoor photography. I could have fill flash synced up to 500, shutter speed. So if the outdoor scene was, it was very bright, and I was shooting at 125 at f/16 with 125 film, color, film like a VPS film, which was a standard wedding photographer type film, that VPS 160 and 400. I could set up my, my Metz flash. I used to have a big Metz flash with a side battery, and I could set it to shoot at that f-stop and that, match it, so I could have a fill flash for all my photographs. So even though there was harsh lighting, with that flash, it would fill it in and it worked perfectly. So that was one of the benefits of that camera, and it's a super sharp camera. I used to have a studio from 1980 to 1995 in Silicon Valley, and I remember one of my persons that used to come use my studio, Eddie Cotillion, who's now in San Francisco still doing fashion. He borrowed my Hasselblad one time, and he goes, "Man, that thing's super sharp. I have to retouch everything." Because, with a 35mm, his Canon, he didn't have to retouch everything. It was a little bit softer, okay? So when I go do weddings, I would use a softening filter on it. Softar 1, 2, 3. And, so, it's great for portraiture. So let's go to the next camera. One of my favorite cameras. I wish I had this camera right now. It'd be great to tote it along on trips. It's a Leica M4 with a Summicron, which delineated, if I remember correctly, f2 lenses, and this is a 35 f2. One of the best lenses Leica Leitz-Wetzler ever made. This German company made incredible cameras, and they still make incredible cameras now, but they were in their heyday in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. They pretty much are just to provide lenses and some odds and ends for other manufacturers like Panasonic and such. But back in those days, they were the lightweight, wartime photographer, journalism photographer. If you want something light and high quality, you would take a Leitz with you, okay? So a Leitz-Wetzler, Nikon, Leica, beautiful camera. I would love to have one. Shoots a 35mm again, and it's a rangefinder camera. Means that you don't look through the lens, you look through a little rangefinder, and it goes sort of matching this yellow image, matches with that image, and when you get them aligned, then you can take a picture. And it was very, very quiet. And when you're shooting pictures during a wartime or trying to be, you know, sneaky, you just hear that click, and that was it. That was it. It was a very quiet camera. Okay. Let's go to my next camera. It's the Rolleiflex twin lens. The top lens was the one you viewed the actual image with the there was a mirror there, just like an SLR, a mirror that would allow you to see what's up ahead. It didn't have any shutter or anything. The one below it was the one with the actually took the picture. It had the shutter, had the aperture, and all that stuff, and you would just adjust on the side all the changes, and you would click on it. Again, it's a very quiet camera. Click, and it was very, very nice. Superior German lenses, again, Rolleiflex, Zeiss, Rodenstock, you know those names. Incredible high quality lenses, superior lenses, okay? Back in the 60s, 70s. You know, they were the best, period, okay? So that's a very nice camera. I even photographed, like in high school, you know, basketball games. They had this feature where, you know, when you have the viewfinder up like that, you just press on it and it sort of locks into place, and it had a mirror, and you looked in the mirror and it looked down on the you know, the focusing screen, and then you can adjust it, and as you watch it and you go, okay, that's pretty good, and you look up and you take your picture, click, because the other part was just a hole. It just framed your image. So that was very nice, very nice. Very nice camera. If you can find one, buy it if you can afford it, because they're still very expensive. So those are my cameras: the Rolleiflex, the Leica, the Hasselblad, the Nikon, and the Arca Swiss. Did I talk about the Arca Swiss? Let me just make sure I talked about the Arca Swiss. Let me talk about the Arca Swiss, just to make sure I talked about the Arca Swiss. The Arca Swiss is a 6x9, you know, field camera. What do you call it? And it had swings and tilts and all that sort of stuff, so you can get some really good. When you're doing architectural photography, you want the ability to swing and do these tilts and odds and ends and great stuff. I forget all the terms. You know, it's been a while. I have a 4x5, 5x7 camera in the storage, but that's about it. It's an old camera. So this is a very good camera, 6x9. It's not 4x5. It's smaller than 4x5 inches. 6x9. It only shoots like 2¼ inches by almost 3 inches, you know, an image, as compared to 4x5, 5x7, 8x10. Ansel Adams shot with an 8x10 camera. Very nice camera indeed. He would do contact prints and he would blow them up, and they're super high resolution. So you can get some 100 ASA film, put it in there if you know what you're doing. Shoot at f/64. Get some fantastic, fantastic photographs. I would love to have them. Right in front you can see they have the roll film back. You just have to focus and get everything set up. You just close the lens, you put on your back, pull out the slide, cock your shutter, and then you have your aperture and everything set, you know, speed, and then snap, and there you go. And then you put the slide back, and then you're ready for your next shot, okay? Or you can take a series of photographs, change your apertures just to make sure you got one that's actually good. Maybe f11, f16, f22, f32, and you're set, because it's on a tripod, because this only goes on a tripod. You're shooting at a 30th of a second, 15th of a second, you know, 1/8 of a second, whatever, you know, something like that. So you can use those smaller apertures, you know, 16, 32, 64, and in some cases, you know, 128. They got some serious small apertures on these cameras, but typically on these cameras, 32, 64 is pretty much the smallest aperture. There was a group in Ansel Adams group, and you know, Imogen Cunningham, Brett Weston, Ed Weston, not his son. They had a group in Carmel called the F64 group. Very prominent in the San Francisco Bay Area and very influential with a lot of photographers. A lot of the photographers that I studied at San Jose State with, and at the Academy of Art San Francisco Art Institute with, were graduates of that school. Like Imogen Cunningham, she was one of my photography instructors at the San Francisco Art Institute. And of course, my high school photo instructors, Prospero Anaya and Ron Root, would take us to Carmel, San Francisco, all over the place to check out these galleries, museums, and have fun on these field trips. And of course, my college instructors took us on field trips to visit like Bullock and stuff like that, and Carmel, and go to the studios. Beautiful community. I would love, if I was to live anywhere in the United States or the world, I would live in Carmel, California. I love that little hamlet. Beautiful little town. I would just, have my life, go to the beach, have my coffee, have my breakfast, and do some hiking, take some pictures, and do my travels from there to other locations. I would love to live in Carmel. If you can afford it, check out Carmel. Very, very nice. Just imagine San Francisco without the people. That's Carmel. Okay. So it's a very nice community. I really had a great time. Let me just talk about my photo instructors in high school for a little bit. My two photo instructors in high school were Prospero Anaya, a Filipino-American, single. He was very much a bachelor. He was in his 50s at the time. And then Ron Root, who was in his late 20s, early 30s, a gay white man. So they were very generous to me in taking me to places, visit, and they taught me a lot about photography. So when I went to San Jose State University and under Joe Swan, who was the director of the photojournalism department down there, I had a lot of skills already in place. And so when I went to take pictures and other events, people, and stuff that I exhibit, even currently, I was definitely not afraid. Didn't have a poor skill set. I had a very good skill set thanks to them. Ron Root was very generous. He would let me use his Hasselblad. So that's where I gained an appreciation for the Hasselblad camera. My first camera, again, in college was, I bought a Hasselblad camera. Very nice camera indeed. So that's my chat for the day. Hope you're having a great time. Don't forget, this is a replacement for my original live stream, which was last night at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. I usually have these live streams on JMM Garza again on Wednesday. I have another live stream on Tuesday, same time, for my other channel, RV and Travel Adventures. So you're free to join in, talk about anything you want. Sometimes I have half a dozen people join me. Sometimes I only have one or two. That's how it goes during the pandemic. Sometimes, and sometimes it's for good reason I don't have very many people, because sometimes you can't even hear me or something. I have a glitch. The audio's off, or it's staccato, or something weird's happening. Hopefully this video, which is going to replace my actual live stream, will find you and you'll like it, and check out my live stream. And hopefully my live stream will be a lot better next time around. Wish me luck. Wish me luck. Wish me luck. I need all the luck I can get. And technical prowess, I guess that would help, huh? From Fort Worth, Texas, this has been Jesus Manuel Mena Garza. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I would greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. I'm trying to grow this channel. Right now I'm at about 2,300 subscribers. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And this channel mainly deals with photography and video reviews and photographs, talking about photography and stuff like that. I used to go quite a bit in the field, but right now with the COVID-19, I'm pretty much sequestered in my home. I also have other videos on this channel on RVs, commentary, and other things. But I've moved a lot of my RV and travel videos to another channel, RV and Travel Adventures. Okay? And I moved all my opinion pieces and my commentary and my, all my rants. I moved those to My Normal Life ? So feel free to check out those channels if you have a chance. Subscribe. I'm trying to grow those channels. I'd appreciate it. Don't forget to leave your kind, super kind, very kind, and friendly comments below the description. Thank you very much for watching from Fort Worth, Texas, the day after my live stream. And this is a replacement for my live stream video because it didn't go so well. It didn't go so well. It's very sad. This has been Jesus Manuel Mena Garza. Gracias. Adios. Bye-bye.